What if I told you the Red Sox could run the table this season in a brutally stacked AL East?
Yeah, that AL East.
The division with the perennial contenders. The division with 100-win expectations. The division where fourth place can still win 85 games? And somehow, Boston might be the most dangerous wild card in the room. Not because they're flawless. Not because they're the most talented roster on paper. But because in this division, the gap between mid and monster is razor thin. And if a few things break right, this gets very real, very fast. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. Follow me on X @Jutstock. Now let's actually break this down. Because if you want to argue that Boston can run the table in this division, you don't start with narratives. You start with run creation. The Red Sox in 2026 aren't built around one MVP-level bat. They're built around lineup efficiency. Roman Anthony sets the tone at the top of this lineup, and the 2025 numbers back it up. He hit .292 with 8 home runs, 32 RBIs, and finished with an .860 OPS. A .860 OPS from your leadoff hitter is real production. That means he's not just getting on base, he's creating runs. And when your leadoff hitter produces at that level, the entire lineup becomes more dangerous. And there's another layer here. Roman Anthony is heading into the World Baseball Classic with Team USA. That's pressure baseball. That's facing elite pitching before opening day. And if he performs on that stage, if the US makes a real run, that momentum carries into the season. Young stars don't grow from comfort. They grow from pressure. Confidence shift. Coming off his first healthy season in Boston, Trevor Story delivered real production in 2025. He hit .263 with 25 home runs, 96 RBIs. 25 home runs and 96 RBIs isn't theoretical upside. That's run production. Even with a .308 OBP, the power output compensates because damage with runners on base drives wins. If he repeats anything close to .260 with 25-plus bombs, that anchors the lineup behind Anthony's on-base profile. And then there's the timing. He opted in 5 minutes after Boston was eliminated in New York. No hesitation, no testing the market. That matters. When a player coming off a .263, 25 homer, 96 RBI season commits immediately, that signals belief in the direction of the roster. Now layer in Wilson Contreras. In 2025, he hit .257 with 20 home runs, 80 RBIs, and posted a .845 OPS. That's balanced offensive output. Average, power, and on-base skill in one profile. A .257 average with 20 homers and 80 RBIs isn't streak-driven production. It's sustained contribution. That .845, combined with Story's 25 homer power and Anthony at the top, gives Boston production across multiple lineup spots. And context matters here. Contreras is effectively replacing the Alex Bregman bat in this lineup slot. Boston didn't just need a name. They needed 20 homer, 80 RBI production in that middle order role. That's exactly what this profile delivers. Over 162 games, that type of distribution prevents scoring droughts and keeps pressure constant. Now look at the pitching staff. This is the kind of rotation built for October. Elite swing and miss at the top. Veteran stability in the middle. Real depth behind them. In a short series, that travels. So let's break down why. Garrett Crochet, 2025, 18-5, 2.59 ERA, 255 strikeouts. That's your ace. An 18-5 record with a 2.59 ERA and 255 strikeouts isn't just frontline production. That's Cy Young caliber dominance. When your number one gives you sub 2.60 run prevention and elite swing and miss over 30-plus starts, you're not just stabilizing series. You're dictating them. Ranger Suarez, 2025. 12-8, 3.20 ERA, 151 strikeouts. Boston's big-ticket purchase of the offseason was going out and getting Ranger Suarez on a 5-year, $130 million deal, days after failing to bring back Alex Bregman. And here's the bigger picture. An 18-5, 2.59 ERA ace, followed by a 12-8, 3.20 ERA left-hander. That's not depth. That's the best 1-2 punch in baseball. It tilts the entire division. Sonny Gray, 2025, 14-8, 4.28 ERA, 201 strikeouts. A 14-8 season with 201 strikeouts tells you the swing and miss is still there. The 4.28 ERA isn't dominant, but as a third starter, it's workable, especially when you're striking out 200+. Brian Bayo, 2025, 11-9, 3.35 ERA, 124 strikeouts. If Bello gives you mid 3.00 ERA production, that's legitimate fourth starter strength. At that point, you're not surviving the back end of the rotation, you're reinforcing it. The fifth spot is still being sorted out. But that's the point. Boston isn't scrambling. They've got options. Cutter Crawford, Patrick Sandoval, Johan Oviedo, Connolly Early, Peyton Toll. That's depth. Not desperation. Most teams are searching for a fifth starter. Boston is choosing one. These aren't emergency arms. They're legitimate call-up or swing options who can absorb innings when injuries hit. In today's game, you don't survive 162 with 5 starters. You survive it with 8 or 9. And Boston has them. And this is where the argument gets bold. This might be the deepest pitching staff in the league. An 18-5, 2.59 ERA ace with 255 strikeouts. A 3.20 ERA left-hander on a $130 million deal. A 14-win veteran with 200 strikeouts. A mid 3.00 ERA. Fourth arm. And then 5 more legitimate rotation options behind them. Most teams are scrambling for a fifth starter by July. Boston has a 6th, 7th, and 8th option before panic even sets in. Depth prevents collapses. Depth absorbs injuries. Depth shortens slumps. And in a 162-game season, depth wins divisions. Now the bullpen. Start with Aroldis Chapman. Chapman isn't here for development innings. He's here to finish games. In 2025, Chapman converted 32 saves, posted a 1.17 ERA, struck out 85 hitters across 67 appearances, and finished with a 0.70 WHIP. That's elite late-inning dominance. A 1.17 ERA with a 0.70 WHIP means traffic almost never builds in the ninth. 32 saves means games are ending clean. When your closer locks down the ninth at that level, it shortens games to 8 innings for opponents. Behind him, the leverage arms don't have to be historic, they have to be steady. If the bullpen ERA stays under 4.00 and blown saves stay limited, that's multiple wins added across a season. Supporting casts win divisions. Boston's depth is layered across the roster. Ceddanne Rafaela's versatility matters. If he gives you league-average offense with plus defense and speed, that's hidden value in tight games. Marcelo Mayer doesn't need to be a superstar. He needs to be steady. If he holds the average in the .250 range and plays clean defense, that's structural stability. And then there's Caleb Durbin. Durbin finished third in NL Rookie of the Year voting in 2025. That's not prospect hype. That's immediate impact production. He plays with energy, makes consistent contact, runs the bases hard, and brings an edge that changes tempo. There's a little Pedroia in the competitiveness.
Not the ceiling, the mentality.
And if he gives you steady at-bats and clean defense, that's all this team needs from him. Now layer in Jarren Duran. Duran brings speed and real production. And here's the swing variable. If Duran gets back to his 2024 form, the version that played with elite energy and constant chaos on the bases, this team could be unstoppable. Speed changes innings. It forces mistakes. It turns singles into doubles and doubles into runs. Duran went 2 for 3 with 2 doubles in his spring training debut today. That's the version Boston needs. Wilyer Abreu adds another layer of pop. With real slugging ability, he gives Boston extra base damage without needing 35 home runs. That kind of secondary power lengthens the lineup. And Carlos Narvaez behind the plate matters more than people think. Narvaez quietly became one of the more well-rounded catchers in the game last season, and he was widely viewed as an all-star snub. He hit .241 with a .726 OPS, 15 home runs, and 50 RBIs. And he did it on a broken knee. That's not empty production. That's toughness plus output from one of the most physically demanding positions in baseball. A .726 OPS from your catcher isn't MVP level, but it's well above replacement level, and it prevents the bottom of the lineup from becoming a black hole. But the real value shows up behind the plate. Game calling,
Framing.
controlling tempo. Handling a rotation with 200 strikeout arms requires trust. If Narvaez takes the next step and hits that 20 homer mark, now you're talking about one of the better all-around catchers in the league. Forget the noise for a minute. This isn't one guy carrying the load. It's pressure from every part of the roster. A .860 OPS at the top of the lineup, 25 homer power in the middle, 15 bombs from the catcher spot, at a position that's felt empty since Vasquez left in 2022. A Rookie of the Year finalist stepping into Fenway. Speed that pressures defenses. Depth that keeps innings alive. That's not star chasing. That's roster layering. And we haven't even talked about Tristan Casas. Right now, Casas is starting the year in Worcester. And here's the scary part. If he comes up and gives you even half of what he did in 2023, even half of that power and on-base presence, this team becomes a problem. You're talking about adding legitimate middle-of-the-order left-handed power mid-season. That's not depth. That's reinforcement. We haven't talked about Tanner Houck. Houck adds rotation stability and swing-and-miss depth. When your extra arm can miss bats and keep you in games, that's insulation. And Masataka Yoshida still exists in this lineup. A professional hitter who can put together quality at-bats and keep the strikeout rate manageable adds another stabilizing piece. He doesn't need to be a superstar. He needs to be steady. It's not just stars at the top. It's quality up and down the roster. And when you build a team this way, you're not depending on career years. You're depending on repeatable production. And here's the part that might matter most. With this much depth, this many legitimate bodies, Boston has ammo. Prospects in Worcester. Major league ready arms. Position player flexibility. That's trade deadline leverage. If they're in position in July, they don't have to shop in the bargain aisle. They can go big. They can make a World Series type move. Because depth doesn't just help you survive. It gives you options. And options in July change Octobers. If the Sox are in the mix in September,
The league better watch out.
because that's not a team getting hot. That's a team built to be there.